The Continental Tire Challenge Series is an intense series. I've been running it for many, many, many years, and it's probably one of the most exciting race series that I've ever raced in. It's got so much close racing, door banging, beating each other up, dogfighting that I enjoy the most about any style of racing. I'm not so much a car guy as much as I am a bring the fight guy, a door-to-door, man-on-man, car-on-car, going at it, beating each other up all the way to the checkered flag, and that's what you get at the Continental Tire Challenge Series. You've got two different classes there competing with cars, fields, this up to 80 cars that we've gotten already this year. I've been in fields before where we've had 100 cars at VIR a bunch of years ago, and they're all on the track at the same exact time. This year, just a couple weeks ago at Barber, we had 75 cars on the track at the same time. It's amazing. It is intense. You are never alone. You're always fighting. If you're not going forward, you're going backwards. And we've got two different classes in that series. We've got the GS class, we've got the ST class. The GS class is your bigger, big horsepower cars. You've got your Porsches, your BMWs, your Mustangs, your Camaros, your Dodge Chargers. You've got an Aston Martin in there this year. In your ST class, you've got your Hondas, your Kias, your 1 Series and 3 Series BMWs, your Acuras. There's a bunch of the smaller, the Mini Coopers, the smaller 4-cylinder cars. Some of them turbocharged, some of them supercharged. We're all out there at the same time. We're all out there beating each other up, and we're all out there for 2.5 hours going at it. And it makes for a very crowded pit lane. It makes for a very crowded racetrack. But what it really makes for is really intense, great racing. All of the cars in the Continental Tire Series are very closely related to their brothers and sisters that are actually on the production floor. Our Kia Forte Koup, for example, is 95% what you see on the production floor. We're allowed to do small upgrades with the engine, and we're allowed to put our slicks on it, and then we're allowed to do safety enhancements on the car. We put a roll cage in the car, we put a fire system in the car, we put a race seat in the car, race seat belts and whatnot. But the geometry on the suspension, the rear end, the transmission, everything is as it comes from the manufacturer. So this is a true manufacturer's racing series. This is as close as it gets in the entire North America to what you see on the showroom floor is what you see on the racetrack. Win on Sunday, sell on Monday has never been better applied to the Continental Tire Challenge Series than any other series out there. We've got very similar to what you see out on that racetrack is battling tooth and nail again, and it's a blast, and it makes it very great for the fans that are coming in that are driving to the track in their Kia Forte Koup, or they're driving to the track in their Camaro, that they're seeing exactly what they drove to the racetrack on the racetrack and going at it. I've been involved in Grand-Am since its inaugural season. I've done at least one race every year, and since then, since the 2000 season, and have been very proud to actually build what is the base of my career. I've been fortunate to race in a lot of things all across the world, but I call Grand-Am home, and it's what I'm most proud of. It's what I've really built my reputation on and built my career on. In 2010, I was very fortunate to be added to Kinetic Motorsports driver lineup to race our Kia Forte Koup. We had some great results in 2010. I did a small bit of the season in 2011 where my teammate Nick Janssen went on to win the whole championship and do everybody proud there. And now in 2012, I'm back again full-time with the season, again with Nick, and we're going to look to repeat his driver championship and hopefully add one to my resume as well. For me, Homestead is one of actually my more favorite tracks that we go to. It may not be the most popular place for all the drivers on the schedule, but I love the combination of a decent, tight, tooth and nail dogfight kind of infield road course to the fast sweeping corners that we have in NASCAR 3 and 4 as we come to start-finish lane there. And I think we get always a good mix of cars that are one car's really good on the infield, one car's really good through the banking, and it always ends up being a pretty good scrap at the end, whether it's the Continental Challenge Series or the Rolex Series. We get good battles on each end. It's Miami, so every 15 minutes there, the weather could be changing, and there's definitely been points where I've been out there on slicks, and we get a little bit of a short, quick rain burst there, and that makes the oval extremely challenging for most of the people out there that are NASCAR fans that are joining us that don't see anybody race on ovals in the wet. This gets pretty crazy when we're out there sliding around on 22 degrees of banking at Homestead there, and it's drying up, getting wetter back and forth. We're using the high line all the way up to the wall, and we're using the apron. It doesn't get more diverse than when you get 20 different makes of cars out there sliding around in the wet. In 2011, I got to achieve a dream. Since I was a little kid, all my toys were stock cars. That's all I knew growing up, and I wanted to be a Winston Cup driver, is what it was back then. It's evolved through Nextel Cup and now Sprint Cup, and last year I got to compete full-time on the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, and the tour there, and do all the races and have a blast and experience something that I've wanted to for a long time. We didn't do it the best way we could. We weren't a big funded team or anything like that. We were a single car team with a rookie, me, that had never been to 85% of those tracks. So we had an uphill battle the whole way, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. You know, we went out there, we gave it our best, and I loved every minute of it. It was probably one of the most frustrating, horrible years that I've ever had. At the same time, it was the best time of my life. It's frustrating because you want to get up to speed and do all these things against your heroes, against guys that you've been looking up to for years and years and years on such a big stage, not just nationally but worldwide, where NASCAR reaches just about everywhere. It's something, again, that I'll always look back on, treasure the memories, and be happy that I took the chance to go and do it. At whether it's my age, somebody older than me, somebody younger than me, you're going to get to a point where you're in your life and you're going to look back and you're going to say, man, I wish I'd have done this, or I wish I'd have done that. And I don't ever want to do that with anything I do in my life. Whether it's on track or off track, any life experiences, if I want to do it, I set my mind to it, try to make it happen, and that's what we did last year. I'm thrilled to be back in 2012 with the Grand-Am Series full-time, to be able to compete in both Continental and Rolex, but also very happy that I got a chance to try and go live out a dream. I get asked a lot how I train and get ready for these long races in the heat, where I'm in the car belted in for a long time. I'm not your standard go to the gym and run on a treadmill guy. I get bored too easy. I need something that's going to keep my attention, keep me excited, and be a challenge. And for me, I do that two different ways. I do mountain biking, and I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and mixed martial arts. The mountain biking is a great long-term cardio deal where I can get out, have to focus on the trail, just like in the race car. You can't just let your mind space out. You're focused on the trail and what you're doing, and you can do long 2-3 hour rides and really simulate your heart rate throughout a stint in a race car. For more fun, and what I've been doing more often, is a combination of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and mixed martial arts here in Georgia, where I live in Atlanta. I absolutely have been taken over by what I've been doing in the Jiu-Jitsu. As you can see here, with last night's training, I was a little slow and got caught with a black eye here before we came to do the interview. But I do primarily Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is a submission grappling art. It can be both self-defense and offense, but it's something that has completely encompassed my entire life. I get into the mixed martial arts too, where we combine Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with striking and Muay Thai. I don't do it as much as I do the Jiu-Jitsu, but it's a blast for me. It's what I do to really get out there and let the steam out. And any driver that is a competitive guy is almost always competitive in anything that he does in his whole entire life. And so this is one of my avenues to vent a little bit of pent-up competition / aggression / I'm not at the racetrack, I need something to do kind of thing, which is pretty much 99% of my whole life. There's a lot where I don't slow down too much. So for me, the MMA and the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is an absolute blast. I can do it at my own pace. I've got great instructors. I've got great guys that I work with that I don't have to push myself to the point where I'm getting injured every week. That's your own call. You know, I'll usually go a little beyond the edge, find out that I'm just getting a little hurt and back it off a tick. But for me, it's one of the best things that I can do to keep my cardio up and really have me prepared to do long, hard stints in the car. I don't think I would go and call out any of my friends for a fight. Carl's a great guy. He was actually very helpful to me last year. A lot of guys in the series put an arm around my shoulder and kind of helped guide me a little bit. Not all the guys. There were some that didn't want to have me there, but there was a good amount of guys, I'd say half the guys, that were, one, interested in what I was doing in the jiu-jitsu and the MMA, but then two, also just genuinely good people that helped me out on the racetrack. And it was a good experience, very cool. As far as the jiu-jitsu stuff and the MMA goes, actually I had a lot of response from a lot of the drivers, not only in NASCAR but on the Grand-Am side too, and the Continental side and the Rolex side, that guys that were just like me that kind of saw it from afar and were a fan and wanted to get into it, but just like me were thinking the same thing. Man, I can't get hurt for racing. And until you really go find the right place where the egos are checked at the door. I train at a place called Creighton Mixed Martial Arts, and it's the best guys out there. Great teachers, but then also the priority is no ego. And these guys train and learn, not to just go in and knock your head off every day. It's a great facility. It's a great thing to learn. I feel, and the way I preach to my friends, it's almost, if you have a family, it's almost your responsibility to do this. You need to be able to defend yourself and your family. So from my perspective, I do it for fun. The way I pitch it to my friends is I pitch it as a responsibility. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching here today. I'd love to have you as followers on Twitter. Find me at Andy Lally, real simple. Is it right there? Or is it there? It's around there somewhere. Check me out, and hopefully you'll see more of me, and maybe we'll get to doing a talk show.